Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Joining us on the line now is Clare O'Reilly. She was 1/3 of a female crew called Row with the Flow, who rowed across the Atlantic Ocean very recently, December, January, taking part in the world's toughest row, a 3,000-mile race from La Gomera in Spain to Antigua in the Caribbean, raising money for the Dame Kelly Holmes Trust and Ocean Generation. How are you, Clare?
Oh, thank you very much for having me, Hannah. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you. Congratulations, first of all. What an amazing thing to do.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it all feels a little bit surreal, to be honest. I was just listening back to that intro and I was going, oh, that sounds good, doesn't it? That sounds impressive. And then you forget that you've done it.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, your background, you're an author, you're a journalist. How did this come about?
So it sort of weirdly came about in a work scenario. So I interviewed a woman who'd done it twice through work. She'd done it once as a female trio and then she'd done it as a five and was captain of that boat not the year that I did, but the year before. And we just got friendly through work and she kind of said to me, have you ever thought about doing it? And I went, don't be so silly. That sounds preposterous. Only a fool would enter that. And then she said, I think you've got the chops for it. I think you could do it. And so I'm that personality type that if someone says to me they think that I can do something, I tend to charge towards it as quickly as I can. So I got in touch with the race organisers and said, and I read more about it, looked at all the videos and that kind of thing, and had looked at the map and saw how far it was and whatnot. And then I got in touch with the race organisers and said, this was a year past July. So July, where are we? 2024. I got in touch with the race organisers and said, look, I quite fancy doing it. And they said, okay, well, there's a waiting list for it. It's quite a popular race. So you could probably do it 2027, 2028.
Oh, wow.
And I kind of went, oh, I'm a bit impatient. That's not really going to work. So then I found Rosie and Mel. Rosie's our incredible captain and Mel's my crewmate. And we all found each other for the row. All of us read individually and independently about the row. All of us wanted to do it and actually couldn't find anyone else batty enough to do it with us. So we became a crew that were all, so a lot of the boats tend to go as friendship groups, whereas we we became great friends over the course of the training. But we all found each other because we all wanted to do this incredible experience and we literally jumped in together.
Oh, how amazing. And you're all different decades, aren't you? One in the 20s, one in the 30s and one in the 40s.
Yeah, you'd never guess who's who by looking at the pictures of us.
No, I wouldn't. You're quite right.
Yeah, so Rosie's 28 years old and is quite frankly one of the most formidable women that I know. She's absolutely incredible. She's such a cool head as a captain and such a safe pair of hands. I'd pretty much follow her anywhere. She's incredible. And Mel's the same. Mel was such a brilliant crewmate. She's so caring and calm and, we're all different personality types. But yeah, Rosie's in the TA and she's a medic in the TA and is a PT as well. And then Mel is a neurological social worker at one of the hospitals in London. So we all do very different things and we've all got very different skill sets, but actually we blended together and worked together really well as a crew. It was, we had our low points and we had our high points, but yeah, we had a lot of fun crossing.
Oh, amazing. Because you can go on holiday with a group of friends and be like in close proximity to each other and realise that maybe you're not that compatible as friends going on holiday together. You can learn a lot about each other, but being on a boat, being on such a confined space like that, it could go horribly wrong, couldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And what was funny, so the boats are 8.5 metres, and there's a little cabin at either end, and one cabin's smaller than the other. So Rosie, who's literally 5 foot, almost nothing, was in the cabin at the end, at the stern, and then Mel and I shared the cabin and rotated in and out of it. So whoever was on off shift had the cabin and then we'd swap. And so there was a few times where there was a bit clipped, yes, no type things, but we never really fell out.
Yeah.
But what was funny was we'd keep in touch with, a few other boats on the fleet at the time. I'd hear from them and they go, oh my God, we had the biggest row today and we had this massive argument about this. I think, to be honest, it was kind of in our benefit that we knew a lot about each other because we trained together for so many hours ahead of going into it. But actually, we had some really lovely time to explore some really lovely chats and some ridiculously bizarre chats and some silly things. And yeah, we all kind of, and as well as, and I think the thing is, it's easy to fall out with friends when you're on holiday because you've got a lot of time. And although we had a lot of time, we were rowing for 12 to 14 hours a day. So that in and of itself is pretty exhausting.
Yeah.
So you kind of get to the point where you're like, yeah, I can't be bothered to be annoyed by that, or I can't be bothered to let that grind me today because I'm just knackered and I want my food and to get my head down for a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we were really fortunate that we had a really great dynamic, and we sort of said we'd done this boat charter before we got on the boat. That we did an escape room together before we got on the boat that we couldn't escape from. We were rubbish. Well, after that, we went to the pub and we kind of sat down and we did this boat charter of, right, well, what are our, in a nutshell, what do we want from our journey? What are our boat rules and that kind of thing? And the very first rule of our charter was leave it on the wave behind you. Mm-hmm. So we were very kind of, whatever's annoyed you, there's another wave coming up. So is it really worth getting mad about? Or is it just a fact that it's a scenario, it's a situation, someone forgot or to put something away, or, someone didn't do the thing that you asked them to, maybe they didn't hear you. So we all purposefully remembered that a lot, to leave it on the wave behind us.
That's really good. And I guess that could easily be something that doesn't necessarily come natural to you all. Some of you could have been quite stubborn and the kind of person that wouldn't let things go. So to suddenly decide to be like that could have been challenging for you.
Yeah, well, I think we did have some times where I'd say something like, I think we all need to, and it would be like I'd be thinking of one of them, or they'd say, why don't we? And I'd be going, is that me? Are they talking about me? But because we kind of caveated it in that way that actually, we're only as strong as our last shift and we're a crew. And ultimately, if we have that fallout, it's going to be obvious on the oars because we're not going to row as well together. There's not going to be the synergy. There was, Mel and I shared our cabin and we got so, we were so tight that we would, I'd be coming off shift and she'd be going on shift, and I'd say things like, congratulations, your frequent flyer miles have matured. You get to go and row for 2 hours. So we would do these little things just to try and buoy one another and keep each other buoyed. And, it became a bit of a running joke that poor Mel, it honestly wasn't on purpose, but poor Mel got soaked way more than I did.
Oh.
We all so we rowed together a little, but not as much as we did with Rosie.
Yeah.
Mel's wet weather gear got a good seeing through, and she'd come in and go, it's soaking, I've just got absolutely drenched. And I'd go out and come back in like my sports bra going, it's actually quite warm out there still, like this is at night and that. Yeah. So she ended up getting soaked, God love her, all the time. So I really felt and she feels the cold quite a lot as well. So, but then I'd make sure when she was coming off shift, I'd kind of make sure that her sleeping bag was ready for her to get into and all cozied and all that kind of thing. So you end up, Mel and I especially in our little dynamic ended up really nurturing one another quite a lot.
Yeah, nice. And doing an experience like this, it brings you together for life, doesn't it? You've always got this incredible shared experience that you've done, that no matter how many interviews you do or no matter how many people you explain it to, the only people who really get it are the three of you.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that's the thing, because we've all gotten back to our lives and everybody's been so busy because we've all been trying to pick up where we left off and get back to our jobs and earning and all that kind of thing. But when you've gone to the toilet that many times in front of another human being in a bucket on deck, it's a bit of a special bond, isn't it? So it kind of feels like, in a weird way, although there's a big age difference between us, it sort of feels like siblings or cousins, like those ones that I might not see them for a while because we're busy, but we'll pick up exactly where we left off because we've got this incredible shared experience together.
Yeah, nice. And something else which must have added to the challenge and the stress is you losing your dear dad literally hours before this whole thing started. I'm so sorry for your loss. And how much harder did that make it?
Do you know what? It's really difficult, and it's still something that I'm getting, trying to get my head around now. So my dad was, he in one way he'd been poorly forever. He's not been very well my whole life. Growing up, he was epileptic, and he developed various other conditions. And then in 2020, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. But he was pretty well, and he was really lucid. and for having had the condition that long. And he was so excited about the row, and he believed in me in a way. If everybody had someone in their lives that believes in them as much as my dad believed in me, we'd all go stratospheric. We absolutely would, because every time I doubted myself, from when I was knee high to a grasshopper, he would be in my corner telling me I could, believing in me, encouraging me to go again, find another way around it, and that kind of thing. And so he was incredibly proud of me for doing it and so excited by it, and, wanted to watch the videos and all that kind of thing. So knowing that I wasn't going to be able to share it with him, number one, was really difficult. But knowing that I was taken to the ocean without his belief in me in a way that I was accustomed to having him there when I needed him. So knowing that I was setting off without him, I got on the boat, and I remember very little about the race start, truth be told. He passed away just after midnight, and the race, we had to be in the race tent for 9 a.m. for a briefing. And I remember very little about it. And I remember just thinking, he was so incredibly proud of me. He'd have been proud of me if I'd got to the end of the marina and gone, I can't do it. It's too much. I have to come back. But I knew that if I didn't row, Mel and Rosie couldn't row because the boat was too big for them to take on their own. So if I didn't row, three of us wouldn't have had a race. And that, firstly, that seemed incredibly unfair when we worked hard on it for so long. But secondly, I kind of thought he absolutely would want me to not only just get in the boat, he'd want me to knock it out of the park as well. So I started the race not knowing whether I had a 2-hour shift in me or an entire ocean. And it was incredibly difficult. There was so many low points in terms of how much I missed him, like that awful. And everyone that I said it to is like, oh God, yeah, that's the worst. Like, that when you get really upset and you've got no more noise to come, but the tears are still coming and you're kind of like, it's like you can't get a breath in, you're crying so hard. Yeah. And I'd save that for when I was on night shifts on my own, because I didn't want it to impact Mel and Rosie. It was their row and they'd worked so hard for it. For me to get on and just sob 24/7, no one was going to have a good experience. And it's not what my dad would have wanted either. But there were times that I found it incredibly difficult, knowing that he wouldn't be there when I got off the other side, and knowing that I couldn't send him the pictures that I was sending my friends and my WhatsApp group and that kind of thing. But on the flip side of it, I was saying to a friend yesterday, normally when we lose someone, there's a lot of admin that goes on with it, and you have to sort things and do things and everything else. And he'd asked me to write his eulogy, which I did on the boat. But I got to just sit and row and think about him and grieve. And all I had to do was row and grieve and eat and sleep and repeat it all. So in a way, the ocean's a really stunning place to grieve. The skies are ginormous, and the nature around you is incredible, and the sounds and, the shooting stars and the meteors and everything else. And when just as we were about to get onto our boat to leave, because I had a chat with the race organisers, because I was terrified I wasn't going to be able to show up for my crew and I was going to mess it up somehow or not clip on or suddenly get there and absolutely fall apart at the seams. And just as I was about to get onto the boat, there was a double rainbow. Oh. And it really felt like it wasn't just a go on and get it. It was you've absolutely got my blessing. You're absolutely doing the right thing by taking to the oars, because it was really difficult to leave my mum and my brother dealing with everything at home and go. But I definitely felt him with me a lot out there. And actually, our last 7 words to one another were, I love you and I love you too. And not everybody gets that. So I'm incredibly fortunate. There's so many, think about the people that you've lost, Hannah, or, anyone that's listening. There's always something that you wish you'd said or wish you'd done, or if I'd had more time or that kind of thing. And he was taken prematurely from me, yes. But I made it my mission that he knew every single day exactly how much I loved him, and I knew every single day exactly how much he believed in me. And that's pretty much what got me across.
Oh, so special. And I suppose you felt a lot of the time that you were doing it for him, or, in his name, or which again is really beautiful.
Yeah, it very much felt like that. And I kind of, he said to me before I left, because he went to a day centre because had with the Alzheimer's and dementia, he was at a day centre, and he didn't get to go out very much. My mum took him out where she could. And I remember him saying to me, I wish I went more places to tell people about your row. He said, I've told everybody at the centre. He said, I wish I spoke to more people. I'm so proud of you, kiddo. I wish I could tell more people. And knowing that, like, he would have loved all this. He would be absolutely tuned in going, yeah, she's talking about me. This is amazing. Like, he would have really loved, not only seeing how much I did it, but how much it changed me. And he'd have been, I'd have given anything to have had him dockside when I got off. I absolutely would have, because I know he would have just sat there at the back, just like, he wouldn't have wanted to come forward or wanted a big hug or anything like that. He just would have been so proud that I'd done it. But yeah, so it was really difficult, but he was very much present every day. And there were things like, I'm making it sound very emotional, and it is, but there were things like I'd get knocked off my seat by a massive wave in the dark, and rather than get peed off with it or like get frustrated by it, I do not, it would amuse me, because he'd have found it hilarious. He would have thought it was absolutely hilarious that I was knocked off my seat 4 times on a shift by a massive wave, and ended up banged over and dropped my oars and all that kind of thing. He had a real sense of devilment about him, and he was the first to laugh and find things amusing. He found the fun in everything. So there was a lot that I was kind of like, I should find this funny. I shouldn't be annoyed by it, because it would amuse him. Me telling him that this happened would amuse him. So I should find the funny in it as well.
Yeah. And that's a big part of grieving, I think, because I've lost my mum a few years ago, and it's incredibly sad and heartbreaking, particularly when you do things that they would have loved to have seen and would have been proud of you. It's really difficult. And if you can find humour in dark times or tough times, my mum sounds kind of similar to your dad, and it really helps. It really helps you get through those tough times, hearing them laugh. And if something goes wrong, when it's really easy to be peed off at yourself or somebody else, hearing them going, oh, don't be so silly, it's not a big deal or whatever, is huge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So with regards to the training then, having not been rowers, presumably, any of you just deciding to do this, what kind of training do you need to do?
So Rosie and Mel rows weekly for Fulham, and Rosie rowed for her university. But I wasn't a rower. I slept on an rowing machine for the first time 15 months before we left. But generally, it's anyone that knows rowing, it's a really low stroke rate. So it's between 18 and 22 strokes a minute. And it's not, you need to go into it incredibly fit, and you need to go into it with great cardio and great, really strong. But for me, the majority of my training, because I'd done marathons and ultras, so the majority of my training was lots of cardio, not as many weights as I should have, to be honest. I should have done a lot more weights than I did, but I hate weights. I find them really boring.
Yeah.
So I was when we left, I was up to kind of 15, 20 hours a week on the rowing machine. So I do 2-hour shifts. And just try and sit at the stroke rate. And it's more to attune you to, I say the boredom, it's not the boredom, because I found the shifts pass quite quickly, but it's more to attune you to the fact that you are asking your body to exercise for 12 to 14 hours a day, which is unheard of. You can't really do that in training. No one has the time to train for 12 to 14 hours a day. But we rode, our race took us 42 days, 9 hours and 31 minutes. And we rode for 12 to 14 hours a day, every day for that entire time. So it's unlike anything else that I've done physically, and unlike a lot of things that you could easily replicate, to be honest.
And I guess there's a massive difference between being on a rowing machine in a gym where there's not much to look at all, and that would be quite easy to get bored, I guess. All you've got is your thoughts. But compared to being out in the open at sea and ocean and what you're looking at around you, must be a totally different experience.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, the views are incredible. And we were really fortunate that we had an orca encounter where we had 3 killer whales that came up beside the boat.
Wow.
And they bow ever so gently. They were super curious. So that was really exciting. And we had a pod of dolphins that stayed around, about 80 dolphins that stayed around us for about 20 minutes as they were passing through, which was amazing, like Labrador-sized dolphins as well, which was incredible.
Wow.
And there's so much to look at in the night sky and everything else. But there are, for the flip side of that, and the sunrises are incredible and the sunsets are beautiful. But for the flip side of that, there are those shifts where you've got your wet weather gear up. Your eyes, you can literally see out your eyes because you've got your wet weather gear velcroed over you. The sky has no stars in it because it's covered in cloud. It's bucketing with rain and you can't even see the end of your hands, let alone your feet or anything. So there are times where you're literally just rowing and you're thinking, could row with my eyes closed, could row with one eye open. And in those times you kind of think, well, I can't see anything, so how am I going to distract myself, or how am I going to get through the shift? But yeah, you do just manage to get through it, and then your time finishes, and we had nights where we didn't have a speaker as well, where our speakers weren't charged, so you literally are just sat there in the darkness with your thoughts and the sound of the waves waiting to get dumped off your seat again.
Gosh. So why is it called the world's toughest row?
Because it flipping well is.
But is it to do with the length or the sea conditions? What makes it so?
It's a combination. So there's a Pacific world's toughest row and an Atlantic world's toughest row. The Atlantic is further, so it's 3,000 miles. And it is, so there's, basically you can cover the 3,000 miles in lots of different ways. So lots of boats have weather routers that kind of look at the weather and look at what's gone before and look at the prevailing winds and what's coming in for you, and whether you can row fast enough to get into a decent weather window, or whether you're rowing, whether you need to slow down to get out of a weather window, or that kind of thing. So yeah, it's incredibly tough. It's as mental as it is physical in terms of getting through it, because 6 weeks at sea is a really, really long time.
Yeah. And tell me about the charities that you chose. Why did you choose them? We've had the Dame Kelly Holmes Trust and Ocean Generation.
Yeah, so the Dame Kelly Holmes Trust mentors young people to give underprivileged young people opportunities that they might not otherwise have had. Dame Kelly Holmes was in the Army and Rosie's in the TA. So it's something Rosie felt hugely passionate about to have as one of our charities. And they're incredible. They do absolutely brilliant work. And for me and Mel, Ocean Generation, they was a charity started by David Attenborough's lead diver on Blue Planet, an incredible woman called Jo Ruxton. And they're an ocean education charity that are very progressive in the way that they want us all to feel proprietorial about the ocean, and that it's not just for other people to use. It provides every third breath that we take. So unless we all take care of it, we're going to be in some trouble. So they're both incredibly dynamic, brilliant charities that are doing huge things in terms of social change.
Oh, fantastic. And how much did you raise?
We're still going, so we haven't got our total just yet. I've actually got a meeting with Rosie later to find out exactly where we're at the moment, but we've got a couple more. We've got a fundraiser in London planned, and we've got two of our sponsors down in the southwest want us to do something as well. So we're continuing, because it's difficult. Before you go, you're asking people to invest in you without knowing really what you're going to be looking at. So, so we're going back to some of the places where we did things to go to do some more fundraising.
Oh, fantastic. And what happens now? I mean, now you're back from this amazing trip. I know you said you're all kind of coming back to reality and trying to get back to work and things like that. But are you thinking, I need to do something like this again? I mean, do you get a taster for doing crazy things?
Yeah, funnily enough, I absolutely am. So it's kind of early days at the moment. But my partner, Dan, did the row the year before I did it. And he and I, 2027, our plan is to do a South Pole expedition out and back.
Wow.
If we're very early days on the campaign at the moment, but if we do it, and if I do it, if I can ski unsupported out and back to the South Pole, I'll be the first woman in the world to do it.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so everybody else, there's one other woman that's done it, and she was supported, she had an airdrop, and all the other women that have done it have gone one way, gone to the pole, and have then sort of been picked up from there. So it's the people that are in the know keep saying to me, there's a reason why no woman's done it yet, and there's a reason why only 4 people have ever done it. But that's our plan at the moment. So we're tentatively working towards that. But it felt like out there, you get to see halfway across the ocean, you're closer to the humans on the space station than you are anyone on dry land. So you get to see wilderness in a way that is incredible and really difficult to describe. So that kind of made me think, there's very little left on Earth that's wild and remote and that kind of thing that's untouched and unspoiled, and the poles are one of those. And I kind of thought with my dad as well, the biggest legacy that I could give him is to start believing in myself as much as he believed in me. So this is something, something of that size is something I would have shied away from a lot, probably a year and a bit ago. But in the same way that, an ocean is rowed one oar stroke at a time, we'll get to that expedition one training session at a time. And then when we get there, we'll just left, right, repeat and try not to overthink it.
Oh, amazing. Well, I wish you all the luck in the world with that. And nearer the time, either before or after, we should definitely chat again.
Absolutely.
So in the meantime, if listeners want to pledge, if they want to give some money towards the charity, that would be great. The website's Row with the Flow, isn't it?
Yeah, rowwiththeflow.org, and all the details are on there. And our Instagram handle is row.withtheflow.
Okay, perfect. Rowwiththeflow.org is the website, or on Instagram, row.withtheflow. Clare O'Reilly, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
and huge congratulations to you and the team.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.